Well, downstairs? Yeah. Got one in, the restaurant's like.
Have you ready?
It's north of 5-4? It's like right across from the gate.
No, sir. I got the copy. We got the original. That's good. We got copies here. We don't. You know what? I'll keep these for the file. You know what? This is good. This is good. This is important.
We're gonna submit those.
I have actually. I have actually.
As a neighbor, should I provide an address?
You can.
Just neighbor from the neighbor? North of it?
You don't need to get too involved.
Hello, Frank,
You don't need to get too involved.
Franklin, or Felix?
Are you on mute on?
No.
Oh.
Franklin, have those guys sit down. We're about to start the meeting.
Yeah, gentlemen, we're gonna start the meeting. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting of Community Council 8 has come to order on this January 27, 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
Which we stand,
one
nation, under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
may be seated. Staff, please call the roll.
Go ahead, Dixon.
Roll call. Board Member Hayes,
Here.
Board Member Johnson,
Here.
Board Member Monteith. Here. Board Member Chair Ben.
Present.
Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Those of you who are present who wish to speak today must stand and the court reporter will swear you in at this time.
Oh, here we go. Okay, raise your right hand. I'll swear you in. Do you swear or affirm?
Sir, you have to stand up. The two gentlemen,
Everyone who's going to.
two gentlemen, if they're gonna be sworn, have to be stand up.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are any lobbyists here, you should have registered with the Dade County Clerk of the Board's office prior to this hearing. Anyone present this evening who wishes to defer or withdraw an application, please come forward at this time and state your name and address for the record. If there's anyone present who wishes to defer or withdraw an application, please come forward at this time and say your name and address for the record. Staff, please read the department's introductory statement at zoning hearing.
In accordance with the code of Dade County, all items to be heard this evening have been legally advertised in news. Notices have been mailed, and the properties have been posted. Additional copies of the agenda are available here. Items will be called up to be heard by agenda number and name of applicant. The record of the hearing on each application will include records of the Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources. All these items are physically present this evening, available to all interested departments, and available to members of the board who examine items from the record during the hearing. Parties have the right of cross-examination. These statements, along with the fact that all witnesses have been sworn, shall be included in any transcript of all or any part of these proceedings. In addition, following departments have represented to address any questions, including evaluation, planning and traffic review sections of the Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources, the County Attorney's Office. All exhibits used in presentation before the board become part of the public record and will not be returned unless an identical letter-sized copy is submitted for the file. Any persons making impenitent or slanderous remarks, or who becomes boisterous while addressing the community during appeal board, shall be barred from further audience before the community during appeal board by the presiding officer, unless permission to continue or again address the board be granted by the majority vote of the board members present. The number of filed protests and waivers on each application will be read into the record at the time of hearing as each application is read. Those items not heard prior to the ending time of the meeting will be deferred to the next available zoning hearing meeting for this board.
Thank you. When your item is called, please step up to the podium and state your name and address clearly for the record. I will then proceed to call those of you in support of the application, and then I will call for objectors. Those of you who are here who wish to speak will state your name and address. For those of you speaking, I ask that you make your presentation short and non-repetitive. Staff, call the first item, please.
Zero protest and zero workers.
Is the applicant here? Humberto Espinosa?
Humberto Espinosa, the first time.
You're not Humberto Espinosa, correct? No, right? It's not Humberto Espinosa? Are you Humberto Espinosa?
No, I don't have nobody.
Is the applicant here Humberto Espinosa?
What's the address?
My address is
Pardon me, ma'am, it doesn't appear that Humberto Espinosa is here at the moment.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Okay, staff, the applicant is not here at this moment. Can we move on to the next applicant, please?
The next app. So then we get to the rest. Thank you.
No. 8th Avenue and 81st Street.
2020-000-048. Buzaglo and Sons Enterprises LLC. Zero protest, and I just received the 2 waivers.
Okay, sir, please give us your name and your address, and you can begin.
Thank you. Good evening. Alex Uribe with offices at 2525 Ponce de Leon Boulevard, here on behalf of the applicant, Buzaglo and Sons Enterprises. We're here for a special exception approval and 3 variances to allow Mr. Buzaglo to operate his wine and spirits boutique at 602 Northeast 167th Street. The special exception permits the package sales closer than 2,500 feet from places of worship and schools and 1,500 feet from an existing store in the city of North Miami Beach. The non-use variances allow the renovated building to keep the existing non-conforming front setback, operation on Sundays, and a closing time of midnight. Your professional staff is recommending approval of the entire application because it meets all of the criteria for approval. I want to start by addressing the property and its location and why it's appropriate for this shop. If I could get the next slide, please. The property fronts on the south side of Northeast 167th Street. 167th Street is the eastern extension of State Route 826. It's the main east-west thoroughfare for northeastern Miami-Dade County. Commercial uses, including retail, restaurants, service, and more, line both sides of this major road. And the proposed shop fits in very nicely with the development pattern. The proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan and is permitted in the zoning district for the property. If I could get the next slide, please. In the next slide. Thank you. The property is designated business and office in the comprehensive plan and is zoned BU2. If I could get the next slide. The comprehensive plan notes that the business and office designation is intended to feature non-residential uses, including retail, like the shop being proposed. Can you get the next slide, please? And the next one. Thank you. The BU2 zoning district specifically permits liquor package stores pursuant to section 33-253-8 of the county code. This is a permitted use. The only reason we're here is because of the distances to the schools, churches, and one other store. The code permits the proposed store to be located less than the stated distances, provided that the applicant meets the county's criteria for a special exception. The county has thoroughly reviewed this criteria and this application. It meets the criteria. I'm going to briefly walk through how it meets. If I could get the next slide, please. The first criteria is that it will not generate an excessive noise or traffic. Here, there will be no noise generated. This is a small shop. This is not an on-premises consumption establishment like a nightclub or a bar that might have happy hour or anything like that. Excessive traffic will not be driven by this very small retail store. Staff notes in their report that minimal amount of traffic and that concurrency is met. Second, that it will not cause excessive burden on public facilities such as water, sewer, solid waste, recreation, transportation, roads, and etc. The small retail business will not place an excessive burden on any of these public facilities. When we first applied for this application, county staff and all of the departments reviewed the impacts. They found that the application would not unduly burden any public facility or utility service. Next, whether the property is accessible through public or private roads. This property is prominently on Northeast 167th Street, so it's perfectly accessible through public roads. The next criteria is that it does not tend to create a fire or other equally dangerous hazard. The retail shop will not tend to create a fire or other similar danger. The renovation of the building will be completed in accordance with all applicable building codes and life safety codes. This means that it will meet every requirement for sprinklers, fire alarm, smoke detectors, suppression, everything. There is going to be no risk, or at least the risk is going to be mitigated. The last criteria is that the use reasonably fit into its surroundings. The property's location on Northeast 167th Street is reasonable and is in fact ideal for retail use. This is a major commercial corridor featuring all sorts of retail, restaurant, service, office, and other commercial uses. The proposed shop fits in very well with the established use patterns and future expected development along 167th Street. Further, staff finds that the schools, places of worship, and other store will not be affected by the proposed shop's location. That's why their expert opinion is for approval. Now, we're here because of distances. And I want to talk about the actual distances that separate the property from the schools. Gertrude Edelman Sable Palm Elementary School is a little over 1,500 feet away. And if I could please get the next slide. 1,500 feet away from the property on a direct airline, which is straight as the crow flies between the 2 points. However, the street configuration between it and the proposed shop makes the true distance much, much farther. In fact, the true walking distance is more than 3,100 feet. That's more than half a mile. And not just that. To get to the shop from the school, you'd have to cross 6 lanes of traffic with 167th Street. If I could get the next slide, please. We also researched where children attending Sable Palm Elementary School live according to Miami-Dade County. Here, you can see shaded in green the area where students who attend Gertrude Edelman Sable Palm Elementary School live. You can see the boundaries for the service area stop on the north side of 167th Street. This makes sense because we don't want kids having to cross the street to go to school. You can also see that the proposed shop is outside this area. It means that it's not on the way to or from school for any student. Further, it's physically separated by Northeast 167th Street. Accordingly, staff finds that it will have no impact. If I could get the next slide, please. The other school, John F. Kennedy Middle School, is actually 2,489 feet from the property. That's 11 feet short of the 2,500. 11 feet. Like with Sable Palm Elementary School, the street configuration between the shop and JFK Middle School means that the actual walking distance is more than 4,200 feet. We're approaching a mile of separation, of actual separation. And again, you'll have to cross 167th Street. Similarly, staff found that this school will not be impacted by the shop. Now, even though the schools won't be impacted, Mr. Buzaglo heard your concerns from the last time we were here in front of you. He brainstormed and took very seriously his responsibility to ensure that his store is not accessible to kids. Mr. Buzaglo is willing to commit to the following additional safeguards. If you could please go to the next slide. First, we're going to reduce the hours of sale in the mornings. Instead of 7 a.m., we're asking to begin at 9 a.m. to ensure that the shop isn't open while children are on their way to school. We will also install a remotely operated locking mechanism for the door that will only be opened by an employee after verifying, either directly or via camera, that the potential customer is at least 21 years of age. Anyone who is not will not be allowed in. We feel with these, Mr. Buzaglo is doing everything reasonable to completely mitigate any risk and prevent underage persons from coming to the shop. Mr. Buzaglu is willing to accept both of these as additional conditions to your approval. Staff has also reviewed and concluded that the existing liquor store, which is further west in the city of North Miami Beach, is sufficiently separated from the proposed shop and no negative impact will result. This is especially true since that liquor store is located west across Northeast 6th Avenue and serves westbound traffic. Mr. Buzaglo's store is on the south side and serves eastbound traffic. Because Northeast 167th Street is a divided highway, if you wanted to go from one to the other, you would have to do a U-turn and you'd be stuck in traffic for who knows how long. These stores may as well be across town from each other. Staff came to a similar conclusion with respect to the spacing between the shop and the two religious facilities. The distance is sufficient and will not result in negative impact. Staff notes that one religious facility is in a whole nother jurisdiction, while the other further one is separated from the shop by Northeast 6th Avenue, which is itself a major 4-lane thoroughfare. Mr. Buzaglo has reached out to the closest religious facility, Congregation Magen David. They haven't sent the enclosed letter, which is in the record, which enthusiastically supports the approval of the proposed shop. Mr. Buzaglo also shared his proposal with his immediate neighbor, Mr. Robert Wolfson. That's his next door neighbor. Mr. Wolfson is also fully supportive of the proposed store and provided an additional letter of support. These are going to be both submitted for the record. Now, I've previously submitted an analysis of the controlling law for this type of application. It includes a number of cases, all involving Miami-Dade County. The law states that once an applicant establishes consistency with the comprehensive plan, shows that the use is permitted, and that the criteria in the code is met, an applicant for a special exception must be granted. The application must be granted unless there is substantial competent evidence that the application does not meet those standards and is contrary to the public interest. Here, the proposed use is consistent with the county's comprehensive plan, the use is permitted in the BU2 district, and the criteria for granting the special exception, which we went over, has been met. County staff's recommendation confirms these elements are met and also confirms that the proposal will not be contrary to the public interest. Critically, staff's recommendation is competent, substantial evidence that weighs solely in favor of the approval of this application. Now, I want to end my presentation by telling you a little bit more about Mr. Buzaglo and how he plans to operate this business. Mr. Buzaglo is a highly experienced and successful and has run high-end liquor stores successfully in Miami Beach for more than a decade. He has a phenomenal track record. He takes his reputation and his brand very seriously, and it shows in the success that he's achieved. But above all else, he has always been a good neighbor wherever he has conducted business. He's the kind of person we'd all like to have running a business in their neighborhood. He wants to do this right, and he's investing more than $2 million to turn the old propane distributor into a beautiful building that will complement the area. Can I get the next slide, please? I want to show you, this is the propane building as it existed. And if I could get the next slide. This is a conceptual rendering of what that site could look like. And what it will look like. And I'm showing you these to express and show and emphasize how invested Mr. Buzaglo is. You see, he's not just a tenant running his business here. He actually bought the property. He's a stakeholder with skin in the game. his success, his business success, is going to be tied with how this neighborhood does as a whole. If the neighborhood is not successful, he will not be successful. I know he will do right by the neighborhood. Please give him an opportunity. I know he's not going to disappoint. Accordingly, I respectfully request that this board follow the recommendation of the county's professional staff and approves our application subject to their conditions and the 2 conditions that we've proposed. And thank you for your time, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have. And in the event that any member of the public wishes to speak, I would reserve a few minutes for rebuttal.
We have supporters, and are we having that here? Oh,
I have 2 supporters here with me. They could stand up.
This who's ever in the room, not virtually.
Right. So, yeah, they would show up in the room if they're gonna testify. Now, keep in mind, this was deferred and we had, public portion was closed, but it's up to you if you wanna reopen the public portion.
Okay.
If they're there, if there's any witnesses, I don't even know if there's any witnesses there, so it might be moved.
There are 2 members of the public here, and they are willing to, they are in favor of the application. I don't see anybody else here for this application.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to point out that there were 2 registered speakers online to speak on this application, but neither are currently online virtually.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so are there any supporters in the room with the speaker?
2.
The 2 gentlemen that stood up. Okay, are there any opposers for this item? Okay,
So it's up to you, Chair.
because they've already presented before.
Right, so you wanna reopen the public?
There were no objectors the last time we were here before you.
Okay, thank you very much. Would the supporters like to say anything?
Would you like to say anything? Just that.
I'm a neighbor and I support this application.
Yes, you sir. Come to the microphone and you need to give us your name and address, and then you can.
My name is Hag Beer, 602 Northeast 167th Street. I'm a neighbor and I support this application.
Okay, sir, could I get you to just say your name and your address a little bit slower because the recorder wasn't able to get it?
My name is Hag Beer, 602 Northeast 167th Street.
Okay, can you spell your name, please, sir?
With all my heart.
Sir, can you spell your name for us, please?
Again?
Spell your name. Spell it.
ITZHAK. Last name is DVIR.
Thank you, sir. Okay, please go ahead and speak.
Then you support the application.
I do support the application.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, that's it for our supporters. Okay, no objectors? All right, we're gonna close the floor for public discussion. Councilmember Montez,
No comment at this moment.
okay, Councilmember Pine,
I just wanted to clarify what the additional, I wanted to clarify what the afternoon hours for checking IDs were.
We propose to do that at all hours that we're open.
All hours?
I hope I didn't mishear your question.
No, I was asking, I think in the slide it said that there would be afternoon hours that you guys, sorry, not checking IDs in general, but checking IDs at the door prior to entry. During
Yes.
what hours would that be?
You know what? We had thought that might be a good measure for the afternoon hours when the children were leaving school, being dismissed, but I think we'd be okay doing that at all times that we're open. So access at any time only after verification that the patron is 21.
okay, Councilmember Hines, do you have any more questions?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes, I have a question, and I'm concerned about your distance that you're working with from the public schools, Sable Palm, both Sable Palm, maybe not Kennedy, that seems to be a little further away, but I'm concerned about how close you are to Sable Palm.
I understand, and staff has, looked at this. The distance is actually quite far, and the most important thing is that 167th Street, it forms a tremendous barrier. And when we think about the students and the ages of the students that go to Sable Palm, we're talking elementary school, so that's kindergarten through 5th grade. The oldest student there is going to be maybe 10 years old, 11. The way that the area from which Sable Palm draws its students is designed in a way to keep them from crossing 167th Street. We're not on the way home for any of them, on the way to school for any of them. There's no reason for these students to cross 167th Street. And again, the actual walking distance is going to be more than half a mile. That's a long distance for anybody attending that school.
Okay, what about the distance from the institution, the church? There's a church there, and
the churches are more than 1,400 or 1,600 feet away. We at staff has actually, dived into this, and they found that there's significant separation. Again, one by 167th Street. One of the churches is north, and actually they gave their letter of support. That's Congregation Magen David. They are supportive of this application. The other one is further west and south, and it is separated from the property by Northeast 6th Avenue, which is a 4-lane divided highway. Oh, sorry, a 4-lane, major road. Staff says that there is no impact here, and we fully agree with staff's assessment. We don't think that this store is going to impact any of the religious facilities.
thank you.
Additional question.
Okay, Councilmember Hines?
Hi again. Thank you for your clarification on those things. Can you, I'm looking for that letter of support. Do we have access to that letter of support from the church, or can it be read to us?
I can pass this over and make sure that you get it right now.
It should already be in the record.
It should already be in the record, but I'm happy to hand you a copy. A copy is on its way to you.
And I have a clarifying question for staff. How do we make sure that the additional conditions that the applicant is requesting, how do we make sure that those are go into effect essentially? How do we make that a part of this? Like the afternoon, like the hours for checking IDs and those additional measures? Is that is like word of mouth, or is that going to be like effective, as a condition of approval? Those things aren't in here.
The additional condition he has offered will be included as additional conditions in the resolution. We will include that in the resolution.
Can you speak up?
The additional condition that the applicant has offered will be included in the resolution.
So I just want to clarify just clearly, what is the plan for checking IDs prior to entry?
We will have a door lock that will only be able to be opened by the employee of the store. And the employee of the store will, before he can let anybody in, will look, see who it is, verify that that person is over 21 years of age before allowing them into the store, before unlocking the door and before anybody can enter the store.
So I previously understood that you would do that during like afternoon hours on school days. Is that reasonable during hours of like higher traffic, like late evenings, night, weekends?
I'll tell you what, we can agree to make a condition that we will do that at all hours of operation. Whenever we're open, we're employing the lock, and someone is checking to make sure that only people over 21 are coming in at all times.
Thank you.
Any other board members, council member have any other questions? Okay, Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Okay.
I have one, Madam Chair. The egress situation, you have one street coming into that, and you are also leaving there on 167th Street.
That's correct.
One way. I mean, one place.
There's one drive. Yes, the driveway is wide enough to accommodate both ingress and egress, and this was checked by both the fire department to ensure that emergency vehicles can access safely, and by the Department of Plating and Traffic to make sure that there's sufficient area to maneuver safely and to integrate safely with 167th Street.
And that will be, in leaving your complex, you will be leaving with a traffic light there, or is no light there? You would just be dumped out into 167th Street.
I believe that it would just be a stop sign, and you would enter 167th Street. There's no traffic light in front of that property specifically. It's a right turn only. So you can only make a right there because 167th Street is a divided highway. There's a median, so you can't actually go left from there.
Right. So there's a right turn going east.
Correct. You can only exit the property to go east on 167th Street.
Okay, thank you.
And you can only enter if you're coming from the west facing east. So there's not going to be anybody making a left turn into the property either.
Thank you.
Okay, any other board members? Any other questions? Okay, to the applicant, I have a question. When you started out your presentation, you introduced the application as a wine and spirit boutique.
Spirit.
Is this different from a liquor and package store?
So the difference here is, and I understand your concern, this is not a discount liquor store or anything like that. This is going to be a very elegant and classy high-end shop. They are going to be featuring some kosher wines and high-end collection type of liquors in a very small, elegant store. It is not going to be the typical liquor store that we're all familiar with. Mr. Buzaglo has a wonderful track record, and he has done this concept on Miami Beach to great success. That is, and it is a beautiful, beautiful concept, not what you normally think of.
Okay, so you're saying that you're going to be selling more than liquor?
It's going to be beer, wine, and liquor.
Okay. And so it's not going to be the concept of a traditional store where you just go in and you see things lined against the wall and you just say, okay, I want this or that.
No. You will have to come inside, and everything will be done inside in a store. It is not going to be lined up outside on a window. That's not the kind of operation that Mr. Buzaglo is doing.
Okay. Well, thank you for your presentation. I don't have any other questions. Any other board member have any other questions or concerns? Okay, I think we were ready to.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, ma'am. Board member, fine.
I'm still stuck on these the hours about the door lock. Like, is that really realistic to lock the door at like all hours of operation? I wasn't asking that to encourage you to do so. I was asking just to clarify what hours during the school day would those locks be locked? And then, you offered to have them locked during all hours of operation. Is that realistic? Like at 9 o'clock at night, is that door gonna be locked? Is that what you guys want? Like, I want to clarify that's not only just said to have the application approved, but that's, is that realistic for you to do? And if not, can we propose something that's realistic that will be, actually carried out?
If this board feels that it is more realistic to do, say, until 5 p.m. in the afternoon, from opening in the mornings to 5 p.m. in the afternoons on weekdays, we could certainly be okay with that. We would accept that if you feel that that is a more realistic and more amenable to that condition. We just want to address the concerns and make sure that we're doing what we need to mitigate the risk and to put this board's mind at ease as much as possible.
Understood. I know personally that makes more sense to me. But I don't know how you guys
would happily accept that amendment.
Okay. So I believe that we're ready to take a vote.
Through the chair, would this be additional condition offered by the applicant that the liquor store remains locked throughout hours of operation?
I think.
Is that what you wanted to say? Is that what you wanted to offer?
We're saying weekdays until 5, from opening until 5 on weekdays.
Weekdays from opening until 5, we will have the door locked, and entry will be only after verification that the patron is 21 or older.
So the applicant is saying that that's a condition that they will agree to?
Correct. Yes, we agree to that.
Okay. Is that what you wanted?
I would agree with that. Yes.
Okay.
I have a request.
All right. Councilmember Johnson, board member Johnson. We're not a council, right? We're board. We're something different now.
Oh, we are.
We're whatever we are. It's your turn,
Board
Councilmember.
member.
We're board members. Board member Johnson.
Yes. Do you have the your support from the religious facility? Can you get that? Is that the one that you asked
Yes.
for? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is correct.
Okay, is the board ready? So if that's the case, then we'll need to have a motion.
One of the board members will have to
Make a motion. Oh, Adele.
I'll make the motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion to approve this application with the conditions from the staff and the additional conditions from the applicant.
That 2, 3, 4.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, who's second?
Second.
Oh, he did. Okay. So,
Okay, the motion is to approve the application as staff recommendation with 2 additional conditions offered by the applicant that IDs are checked at all hours of operation and the door be locked from opening till 5 o'clock on weekdays. Board member Hines,
Yes, I agree.
board member Johnson,
yes.
board member Monteith,
Yes, I agree.
Chair Davis,
No.
motion passes 3-1.
Thank you very much. A very great presentation, applicant. Very
Thank
good, excellent presentation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
You too.
Madam Chair, I was just informed that the applicant for item 16233 is about 10 minutes away or so.
What time is it?
We do have another item to call prior.
Yes, we do.
Okay, call the next item.
Item number 1. Z 2017-000260. Go Eco Homes LLC. Zero protest, zero weather.
Madam Chair, I believe the applicant is registered online and ready to speak when called upon.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Please give us
Hi.
your name and address.
My name's Kareem Lakdar. Address 58 Northwest 34th Terrace, Miami, Florida 33127.
Okay, you have it. You have what you need?
Yeah, it's there. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead and present your application
I'm sorry, what? Oh,
and tell us what you want us to know.
okay, perfect. Thank you. So yeah, thank you for allowing me to talk about this. Basically, what we want to do is the property is zoned for. It was actually zoned for a duplex, but it doesn't meet the full requirements of building a duplex. So basically, we needed to come for this zoning hearing, and we want to build. We're proposing a 2-story building, 1,200 square feet each unit, 2 floors separate. And we've done a few of them in Miami, and they've been very successful. They're very modern looking duplexes, and I think it would be a positive thing for the neighborhood over there. There's also a few other duplexes around us, and it would be a nice addition. This one that we're building. Also, basically that's it. Yeah. Do you have any questions for me?
Okay, I'll ask the board if they have any questions for you.
Sure.
Are there any supporters for this particular applicant? Okay, are there any opposers? Okay, to the applicant, what is the gentleman's name again?
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, your name is Locke? No?
Kareem Lakdar, yeah.
Locke. Okay, have you read the conditions that were recommended for your application by the staff?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, are you okay with those conditions?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, give me a moment and I'm going to ask the board to present any questions or concerns they may have at this time.
Of course.
Board member Montez?
No question at this moment.
Okay, board member Hines?
Does the applicant have camera access or just audio?
I have camera access if you want. I don't know how to turn that on, sorry. But I think the board has to let me camera access.
Board members, we typically only allow the microphone access. We have not allowed for video access from the public yet.
Okay. I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Board member Johnson?
Yes, are you allowing that the structure that is there now to stand, or are you gonna demolish that?
No, that's to stand.
What do you have, what is in your plan for the specimen trees in that area? I see that you have some pines that are in tradition, you shouldn't cut down, but do you have a permit to deal with that vegetation?
I believe we're saving those. We're not removing them. Yes.
You already have the permit for it?
To save them?
No,
Yes.
Do you have the permit
For the landscape, for the trees, no, we don't.
No, okay. So the indigenous pines are
But
gonna,
yeah, but as developer, I'm always for leaving trees. I never remove it unless it's really, really necessary.
I would like to be on record to make sure that this is what your intentions are, that you're gonna save the pines that are indigenous to Florida.
Of course.
Australian pine. You got 2 of them sitting on the lot. I saw 2, you might have 3. So I just want to make that part of the record. Okay, my request that they leave those pine trees as
Okay, are you in agreement with that, sir?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you. Does the board have any other questions for the applicant? If not, we can close the floor and we can take a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve this application with the attachment that the landscape, which is indigenous, will remain on the property untouched.
Somebody has to second the motion.
That's a motion.
Okay, do we have someone to second the motion?
Second motion.
The motion is to approve the application for staff recommendation.
Representación.
Was moved by Board Member Johnson, seconded by Board Member Monteith. Board Member Hines,
Yes.
Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Monteith. Yes.
Yeah.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, is our last applicant here? Hold on a second, board member needs to be excused for a moment. Yes, yeah, go now.
Where is it?
Just a moment, applicant, the board members stepped away and we'll reconvene in just a minute when she returns.
What you're saying is you can have a seat, like when the other board member returns, they're gonna start again. One of the board members say, regresa la otra persona, ya pueden comenzar. Okay. Entonces, ¿me siento? Sí, sí.
Johnson, you got on the right shoes, though. I wear my sketches every day. I love them. They come in different colors and sandals. I found the outlet, it's one in the mall at Upper Mall, and it's on 6th, 7th Avenue, and the Palmetto. And in the shopping center, the Skechers outlet, 167th Street and 67th Avenue. You know, right down the street from American Senior High. But you're going towards the Palmetto.
Right.
And at the shopping center right there, they have an outlet. And it's, you know, and I bought some at like JCPenney. And they were like $15 cheaper at the outlet.
I need to check them out.
Yeah, because they got so many to choose from. You would like it.
I have one pair that I get that heavier than this. But they're green, so I don't wear them all the time.
Yes, that's all I wear. Yeah, it's like a McDonald's is there. They got a McDonald's there, Starbucks, and it's a strip mall there. Right on the Palmetto and 67th Avenue, right down the street from American Senior High.
Check it out.
I mean, this morning.
Online. I found them, but I never got to the store. I could have gotten more.
Right.
No, but I was just waiting. Procrastinating. So.
Yeah, they have a lot. And then, you know, you buy them quite often. They have like a little rebate club and all that kind of stuff. Frequent shopper points and stuff.
All is
No, yeah, Marlon went. He went on the greener pastures. And he didn't even say goodbye.
Espera que lo llame para que hable. No, pero no sé.
Okay, the applicant is sworn in.
I'm going to swear you in. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
I swear.
Thank you.
Okay, please give your name and address, and then you can begin to give us your presentation.
Call the Dixon, need to call in your record first.
Yeah, let me.
Luis Ojeda, 12829 Southwest 54th Street.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Hold on.
Do the share. This was the item that when it was called, the applicant wasn't here, and now he is here, so I will call it again. Item A, Z 2016 000-233, Humberto Espinoza, 0 waivers and 0 protests.
Thank you. Did you get the information? Okay, can you give us your name and address again, please?
Okay, Luis Ojeda, 12829 Southwest 54th Street.
Spell your last name.
Okay, can you spell the last name, please?
Ojeda, Ojeda.
Thank you. Okay, now the gentleman up standing with you, is he there to translate or is he going to present?
I have my son here. He speaks very well English.
Okay, okay. If he is going to speak, I need to know his name and the address as well for him.
Yes, my name is Ivan Ramirez. My address is 12829 Southwest 54th Street.
Thank you very much. Okay, go ahead and let us know what you want us to hear tonight in reference to your application.
Okay, we are representing Mr. Humberto Espinoza. Actually, he's in the hospital due to COVID-19 infection. In this case, we are searching for the permitting and existing car dealership with less lot area than the required, and the non-use variance for the setbacks, parking, and escaping regulation.
Okay, let me ask you this. You said that you're here on behalf of the applicant who's ill. What is your relationship to the applicant?
Oh, I am the engineer that did the drawings and the owner company for that purposes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I did not understand what you were saying. Could you say that again, please?
Okay, I am the engineer that did the drawings and the calculation and everything. I'm the property owner of the company that do the drawings.
Okay, thank you very much. You're the engineer and you are the property owner.
Yeah, that's correct. The property owner of the company who did the drawings.
The owner of the company.
The owner
The company that did the drawing.
Power of attorney.
Do you have power of attorney to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, that's correct, ma'am. I have here the power of attorney.
Okay, thank you. Okay, continue.
Just we are here to represent him, Mr. Humberto Espinoza, for permitting an existing car dealership with less lot area than required. And they don't use variance for the setbacks, parking, and escaping regulations. This is the second, I think no, was this is the second meeting about this variance that was approved with recommendation, and we did the correction from the previous meeting, and we already submit the drawings.
Okay. All right. So there are some recommendations for approval with conditions, and I see that there are 8 conditions. And I think when I listened to the information, I think it was 3, 6, and 7 were the items that were of concern. And so you're saying that you have made adjustments to whatever the recommendations were at the time of our last meeting. That's what you're saying to me today, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so are you aware of the conditions that are recommended, that are on the paper?
Yes.
And do you agree with those conditions?
Yes, we agree.
Okay. Are there any supporters for this particular item? Are there any opposers to this particular item?
No. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay, stay right there. You hold on because now I'm going to ask the board, do they have any questions for you, okay?
Okay.
All right, board members, Mr. Montez, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
No question at this time.
Okay, thank you. Board member Hines.
No, I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. Board member Johnson.
Madam Chair, I have none.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I do not have any questions because I was at the meeting when it was presented the last time, and I did listen to the recording, so I don't have any questions at this time. So if there are no more questions, I can I'm ready to hear any motion from the board.
Madam Chair, I move to approve with the conditions stated in the item.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Chair, the motion to approve the application per staff recommendation with conditions moved by board member Johnson and seconded by board member Hines. Board member Hines,
Yes.
board member Johnson,
Yes.
board member Monteith. Yes. And Chair Davis.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, sir. Your motion passed. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Okay. There are no more items before the board at this particular moment.
No more.
Okay, this concludes the meeting for Community Council 8, January 27, 2021. Good night.